Hey, this is AJ with Blackhawk Bushcraft. I wanted to bring you a very quick video today. I'm making some hairy matches today and realized that I haven't even talked about the hairy match. So for those of you that know me, you know that first and foremost, my love of fire ignition will always be the lighter. Anytime that I'm wanting fire very quickly, this is the go-to for me. Next would be matches. Like these Strike Anywhere matches, diamond, green lights. These are exceptional matches. Much different than what the Strike Anywheres by Diamond were when I was a kid. I believe that they were red with white, and then they came out with these green lights, and they still work great. They have a strike surface that you can use, but you don't need to use anything to do a Strike Anywhere match. You can just basically use the match itself if you wanted to, just like that. Okay, I'll put that over there. So I like Strike Anywhere matches. Unfortunately, not everybody has access to these. Specifically in the States, I'm not sure how it is overseas, but I know in many states in the US of A, you cannot get these, and you can't even mail these. So if you are in a state that allows them, you can order them. Sometimes, but for me, I have to go to a local hardware store to pick these up, and fortunately I can still get my hands on them. So I love Strike Anywhere matches in my arsenal for starting fire. If I'm not using a lighter, match is also a very good ignition source for me, because all you need to do is strike it and you've got everything you need to burn. The problem with matches has to do with the stability of being able to get the flame to start the stick and not have it go out in the wind and etc. So it can be a little bit more complicated. If you prepare your fire well enough and you block the wind efficiently, then it's really not that big of a deal. Just strike your match, hold it under your really fine kindling, whatever, and there you go, you've got a fire. A lot of people really like these too, and these are a great option. These are, so in here I've just got a waterproof container with my matches, some duct tape that I can use as a flame extender, which really works well. But you've got these UCO stormproof matches, which are actually pretty resilient to the wind, and they burn fairly well. But the problem is you have to use a phosphorus strike pad to ignite them. These are not Strike Anywhere. And if you have a phosphorus strike pad and it gets wet, then you're screwed. You have to wait for that stuff to dry in order for you to use your match. And so that's why I really like Strike Anywhere matches. However, if a Strike Anywhere match also gets wet, then it's fairly useless until they dry. So I'll keep one of these out. But these are basically the Strike Anywhere matches. What I like to do to get a little bit more burn time out of a match, make it a little bit more resilient to the elements, even these ones, if you have a stormproof match that requires the use of a phosphorus strike pad, you can do the same thing with these. And ultimately, this is what I want to show you. This is what I call my hairy matches. And all this really is jute twine. I think this is pretty similar to the same diameter as like number 12 bank line. And you basically just wrap the match entirely in jute and leave a tag end, which when it's wrapped in the wax, and I'll show you how this works. So you basically just dip it in the wax, fold this over, it dries, and then these things are very small. You can just tuck them away in your fire kit. You can actually put these in your pocket as well, but you just basically open it up like this. And when you dip it in the wax, which what I use is just paraffin wax and some paraffin oil, and you just pull it off like this, you expose the little hairs, and then you strike the match. I'm not going to do that in here because this stuff burns very well and I am indoors. But you strike the match, which is waterproof because this is covered with wax. But when you strike it, it exposes and you're able to strike it. This will burn and ignite the hairs and the wax and the paraffin, which will, in essence, give you a little torch and a pretty awesome burn time with these little matches. So I want to show you how I make these, and then we're going to go outside and I'm going to show you how these work. So essentially, you just grab your twine. It is a no-brainer. Leave yourself a tag end above the match like that. And then start at the bottom and just start wrapping it. Just like this. All the way to the top. Just make sure that they're nice and tight and tidy. I guess even if they're not tidy, it doesn't matter because you're burning it. You kind of get up to this area right here. So you have about that much of the end of the match exposed, and then you've got your tag end. And then what I do is I just give me enough to work with. Just give it a clip, wrap this around, and in an overhand knot, just kind of put that up to the top and tighten that down with an overhead knot. I've got myself another tag end. I just measure that the same, give it a snip, and there you go. As easy as that. And so I'll make, you know, a good handful of these to throw into my fire kit. And then all I do is fray these, undo the little twines at the top, fray them so that they're hairy, and then you've got everything that you need ready and prepared for dipping into paraffin and paraffin oil. Melted paraffin oil mixture. I'm just going to go ahead and snug that down one more time, and there you go. And then when this goes into the paraffin oil, you just basically, while it's still wet, bend that over like that and let it dry, and then you've got this nice tidy little package. Now I have found too, I don't know if you'd call it a waste of resources. You really don't need to use more than one match, but sometimes it is fun to make like a super hairy match, which this is basically 3 put together, and then you basically just, you know, cut yourself several lengths and put them in between, and then wrap the whole thing, and then you've got basically a super hairy match. And these work extremely well. And again, once you impregnate this whole package with paraffin wax, paraffin oil mixture, and it dries, they are completely waterproof. You never need to worry about your matches getting all screwed up if by chance they get wet. So that's pretty much what I wanted to show you. So I'm going to go get the wax prepared, and then I'll bring that down and show you how you put these together, and then we're going to go outside and let it burn. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and here we have the melted paraffin wax, paraffin oil mixture. I just melted in a can in kind of like a double boiler configuration because you do not want to melt this over direct heat. It's extremely flammable, and it looks like it's not quite melted on the bottom. I'm just going to give that a little bit of a turn because this is still pretty warm. Let me move this stuff out of the way, and I will show you what you do. So you're basically just going to, I just have a pair of these plastic tongs I pick up from a dollar store, just because I don't want to ruin anything. Just let that drip off, and then we're gonna twist this up, bring it down, fold it over, let that solidify like this, just like that. And I'm gonna just put that on the paper plate. Let's grab one of these big hairy matches, the super hairy match, do the same thing. Just bring that over, melt that in good. You do get it on your fingers a little bit, but it comes off pretty good. These ones are a little bit thicker. They're not unbearably thick, but I'll show you. See, and you get it all over your fingers, this stuff starts solidifying pretty good. And the paraffin oil just makes it a little bit softer when it dries and makes it ignite a little bit better too. So there's that one. Let's go ahead and get one of these again. Just dip this one in. And the good thing is when you melt it in the can, if you don't use it all, you can just let it solidify, put it on a shelf, and then the next time you need to make some hairy matches, just quickly remelt it. Okay, so there's that. I'm gonna let that there. Get this off my fingers, throw that back in the wax. And the oil actually helps it get off too, and it's not too terribly messy. Okay, so I wanted to also say this recipe that I use for the wax and paraffin mixture is the same recipe for my fire plugs. These are just those cotton swab or the cotton plugs, and I just throw them in, let them soak up what they can, pull them out, put them on a piece of wax paper, a waxed plate, and they work great. So, okay. So let's go ahead and take these matches out. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hurry and wind one of these. That's what I said I was going to do. So let's go ahead and get the UCO match wrapped. Okay, let's make this really quick. And then we'll quickly dip him to UCO stormproof match. The thing that I found though is wrapping these is they'll burn when the jute burns, but they don't like to burn through things that are really tight on it. So like if I were to take, like if I were using like, say duct tape for a flame extender and wrapped it too tight, it has a tendency to kind of extinguish the flame. So let's just go ahead and give me a tag end, pull this up over into an overhand knot, tidy it up at the top. Okay. Perfect, just like that. Let's go ahead and cut the two ends, fray them out again. Okay, pull them apart. And again, what makes this work is the hairier, the better. So when you have these little wax, the wax jute exposed and you have it split out, that match will ignite and this stuff will have no problem igniting, and then you get a really, really nice burn. So let's pull this back over. Let's go ahead and dip him in. UCO. Okay. Let's wrap this up, wrap him over. Pull him. That one's starting to solidify pretty good. So let me just pull this off. Okay. See, when it gets solidified, you want to make sure that it's actually pretty runny, because when it starts to solidify, then it gets really glummy, and then you get like really thick wax on your matches. But again, it really doesn't matter. I guess it just lets you have more flame extender and more fun with fire. Okay, let's take these outside and I will show you how they work. Okay, so here we are outside in my spot where I like to play with fire. Got our different matches. This is the single stick, this is the triple super match, and then this is the UCO stormproof match. Okay, and then we've got the regular one. It is a little bit breezy out here, so this should probably work pretty good. So here we got our regular strike anywhere match. As you can see, not too bad. Okay, so yeah, strike anywhere match works pretty good. Okay, let's go ahead and pull apart this bad boy right here and expose the hairs. This is just the single strike anywhere. I should have actually let that one burn. So let's just put that right here and grab another strike anywhere. Okay. And let's just test the burn time. Okay. So burns pretty good, but as you can see, it eats up the fuel very, very quickly. Always enough though, if the conditions are right and if you've taken the time to prep your fire. One strike, basically a one match fire is all that it takes. I'll throw that over there. Okay, let me show you this guy right here. We've got this. It gets a little bit messy when you take it. Let's, boom. Check out the flame on that bad boy. And that is just gonna burn and eat through the jute and the wood on the match. And just like that. It's going to consume it. And as you can see, you get a really, really nice flame extender that works very, very well. And that will just continue to eat that wax and burn the jute and burn the wood and travel up the stick. Just like that. I'm not going to just allow this to continue to burn. It'd be interesting to actually time this and see how much burn time you get over a standard match. But again, this is where something like this, if you want to take some time to make like a hairy match and add a flame extender to the match, if the conditions aren't exactly right, or maybe you don't have as much time to take, or you want to just get something going a lot quicker without worrying about using 2 or 3 strike anywhere matches if it might be a little bit breezy, that's where these work absolutely great. I'll just blow that out. And this is the triple, the big giant super hairy match. Just expose that. There's the crown right there of the 3 match heads. I should have brought some water out too. Those will just sit there in water and they will not get impregnated with water. You're just gonna have to take my word for it. If you decide to build some of these, you can try it and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Very impervious. Boom. Even more flame. You have yourself like a little torch, but check that out. Like, you're not gonna have any problem starting a fire with a super hairy match. And again, this is pretty much overkill, but it doesn't really take up a lot of space. I mean, if you're gonna make a hairy match, you might as well make a couple super hairy matches just in case the conditions aren't quite right and you need something like this. It's gonna give you even more flame extender and longer burn time. Just super cool. Okay, and the UCO. And this is the problem that you have with the UCOs. Okay, they are not strike anywhere. You have to use phosphorus, a phosphorus strike pad to strike it. And this one, I'm actually not a fan of the UCO stormproof matches wrapped as a super match. They just don't have a tendency to work quite as well, at least when I've done it before. Well, let's just go ahead and I'll show you. This right here is the red phosphorus. If I can get that on. Strike, come on already. There we go. That, ladies and gentlemen, is why a strike anywhere match works so great. That is actually burning really well. Yeah, now that flame's going through all the way down the matchstick. I did not get that to happen last time I did it. I think I know why. It's because I think I actually used a little bit of duct tape, like I was mentioning before. It's been such a long time since I've made super matches out of stormproof matches, but yeah, there you go. So the whole match has already expended. It's burned underneath the jute. So now all that's burning is the jute and the wood and the wax. So different options right there. So what would be my recommendation? Well, my recommendation is always carry matches with you in your fire kit. Outside of a lighter, matches are probably the second best option because they take very little prep. All you have to do is strike the match and you've got everything you need. You've got your flame, ignition, your fuel, and again, if you've prepared your fire correctly to receive the ignition, you'll have no problem. Outside of the lighter and matches, then it's everything else that you could possibly use to use an ignition. So, and I like using other ignition sources too, such as ferro rods and flint and stills, very fun things. But if you need a fire very quickly, lighters and matches are a must in my opinion. So anyways, I hope you like this video and thank you so much for supporting the channel. If you have any comments related to this, feel free to share your comments. Again, this is nothing new. I did not come up with this. There's, you know, making matches that burn longer, but, you know, using all sorts of different things. It's not a new concept. This is what I find works best for me, using jute twine and then impregnating it in wax and paraffin oil mixture to make them waterproof. But I'm not taking any credit for this idea. It's just my take on making a hairy match, which makes using a match much more successful when you resort to using matches as your ignition source. So thanks so much. Please like and subscribe, and until the next video, we'll talk to you later.